Welcome. This is Mark Esposito. Welcome to another episode of interviewing individuals within the neurodiverse community and population and their roles. Today I have the privilege of speaking with and meeting Barry. So without further ado, Barry, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your current role?
Hi, Mark. Thanks for inviting me. My role is primarily as a parent. I have a 26-year-old son, and he's actually the youngest of our three sons. Secondarily, I've also played the role of a fundraiser for autism science research. I've raised some nice sums of money in the past for some not-for-profit organizations that fund scientific research. But as I said, my primary role, my day-to-day role, near-term, medium-term, and long-term role is as a parent.
Thank you so much for sharing that. It's pretty amazing that you were able to be part of that fundraiser, Peaceful Autism Science, and especially with your role already as a parent. What would you title your role? Is it more parent or advocate, or is it a mixture of both?
I'm not involved in advocacy projects. I'm aware of the issues, and it's actually something that I might mention during our conversation today. But my role is by far primarily parenting my son.
So continuing that, then, what are one or two challenges that you experience or you feel go unseen?
You know, there are some serious challenges for parents of special needs kids. And when I say kids, even after they're 18, they're still our children. There are challenges that they may not go unseen, but they certainly go unmet. But let me first talk about what I think are the three most important things for parents like me to be aware of. They're very important. Two of them are relatively easy, and one of them is very, very difficult. And those are, first, making sure that you provide for legal guardianship for your child after your child turns 18. There are issues that your child, depending on the extent of his or her disability, you'll need to be the decision maker, like medical decisions. And after your child turns 18, you're the one who has to make those decisions for your child, again, depending on the extent of his or her disability. So you get a legal guardianship done, and it's not very hard to do. It takes a little while, but there's a procedure, and it's pretty clear, and you take care of it. And typically you provide the parents as co-guardians, you provide for siblings or other family members or other trusted people as successor guardians, and you take care of that. The other one that's relatively easy is providing for a special needs trust. It's also, by the way, I'm not selling legal services here. I'm just talking about the path that we've gone down. You provide for a special needs trust for your child so that when he or she is eligible for government benefits, like SSI benefits from the federal government, and Medicaid benefits through the state, that you are sheltering your child's assets so that he or she remains eligible. The third one that is really, really hard is providing for housing and where your child's going to live when you're no longer able to take care for your child. And that's something that needs a lot more attention these days, because it's just really hard to think about a time when you're no longer able to care for your child, but somebody has to, and there's not enough government support there. There's not enough information. There are more and more parent groups popping up to deal with that issue, but that's a really important one.
Yeah, it's excellent. Thank you for speaking on those challenges and concerns, as well as ongoing issues. You know, one of the things I have definitely noticed in my experience working with this population and attending conferences and meeting with families is that legal guardianship is something that is not very commonly known or openly discussed. When I do meet with individuals who do offer those services, they seem to be very excited, sometimes a little overwhelmed on how to get it out there so other families can learn about it. Was this something that you knew naturally to consider, or you just kind of came across it over time?
My wife and I are both lawyers, so we knew naturally to consider it. For any listeners who are not lawyers, or if you're wondering how to go about addressing this, I know that here in Nassau County there are pro bono legal services available to take care of something like that. For a trust, you probably have to hire a lawyer, and it's not something that we do, so I'm not marketing services here. But there are plenty of lawyers who deal with special needs trusts, and you find one, and it's not terribly expensive, and you take care of it that way.
Yeah, that sounds about right. That's the experience I've had in speaking with those individuals and services. Leading from that, what would you like to share about your perspective or experiences with those in or outside of the disabilities community?
It's a difficult time right now because there really is an increased need for parent activism and for parents to pay attention, because there are threats to Medicaid. There always have been, but even more so now. And, without getting into a political conversation, because this is an apolitical issue, it's a simple fact that Medicaid is going to be under attack. And Medicaid funds a lot of the programs that our kids participate in. And we need to pay attention to whether there will be cuts to Medicaid, because that will have a direct impact on our ability to provide services to our kids. I would also say, related to that, one of the things to pay attention to is that the direct service providers, in our experience, we've been very, very fortunate to have really good ones, and many of the listeners may have had the same experience. That's under threat as well because they're underpaid. There are a lot of people in society who are underpaid, and we've heard those discussions before. We hear that teachers and first responders are underpaid, and they are. The direct service providers are underpaid as well. And what that means is that there's a threat to permanence. And if you have good DSPs, you want them to stay. So I think parents need to pay attention to those funding issues, because we're part of a special community, and we need some financial support from both federal and state government. And the DSPs, if we have good ones, we want to keep them. And if they're underpaid, then we're not going to be able to keep them.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. For those who do not know, a DSP is a direct support provider. It can also be known as a coach, a mentor, a buddy. And these are individuals who are working side by side with those on a fiscal intermediary budget and program, and need a support provider to go out in the community with them, or be in the home, or both. So thank you so much, Barry, for speaking on that. What do you, my next question is really, what is something you wish you kind of knew about your role before entering it, or maybe what you feel others get wrong about it?
Well, I won't say others get wrong, and I don't want to sound critical or judgmental. What I can say is that the government doesn't make it easy to learn about the benefits that your child is entitled to, and how to enroll in certain programs to get support. It is a bureaucracy that is not so transparent. And I mentioned that my wife and I are lawyers, so we can sort of find our way through that bureaucracy, but it's not easy, and the government doesn't make it easy. And that has been something that I think calls out for the need for these parent groups to stick together and to communicate with each other. And I've seen good groups where, parent support groups where they do share information about eligibility for benefits, where they share information about housing, where they share information about activities that are available for people like us who have our son on self-direction. So I think that what we have learned is that it takes a little bit of effort. There are other like-minded parents out there. It's a good support network, and it's important to find it because otherwise the path can be filled with bureaucratic obstacles, and it can be sometimes hard to find your way. But we've had a good experience finding our way because we live in a community that pays a lot of attention to these issues, and the parents are active and involved, and so that's been good for us.
Yeah, it's nice to hear about the successes, in overcoming some of the bureaucratic hurdles, challenges. I myself have been sometimes very overwhelmed by the amount of bureaucracy I've had to do or get through in setting up the business or being a vendor with Department of Ed or with OPWDD. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And I don't even have a parental role as of right now. So I can only imagine the amount of stuff you have to deal with. But focusing on those successes, you spoke about things have been going well and you're able to really figure it out. What are some of the successes that you've noticed that gave you more insight or helped maybe feel more empowered in your role?
Yes. So one of the big successes for us, and I've seen it with other parents in our neighborhood as well, is that our son, and I see it with his friends, they're happy and they're leading full lives. And a lot of that is because they have friends and they have a good support network. So it's been very gratifying, and as a parent, it's been very nice to see that our son is happy and leads a full life. He will not be able to live on his own, but he'll always need some degree of support. There's no question about that. But in that context, he's actually a happy person who leads a very full life. So that's been something nice to see for us.
That's great. So leading to one of the last questions is, what do you hope to see in the future in regards to improving the quality of life for those within this community?
Well, I hope to see that the kind of parent connections continues to grow. All of that has been helpful. I hope to see that the government does not abandon this community. There is a need for additional funding, as I mentioned, at the federal and the state level, and that includes funding to actually pay the DSPs what they're worth, which in my view is quite a lot. I hope to see on a personal level, I hope to see we've had very good DSPs. My son is very happy with them. They have great relationships with him. So I hope to see that continue. I hope to see more information available about long-term housing because that's the last issue that we have to deal with. We've dealt with the first two that I mentioned, the special needs trust and the legal guardianship. My son turned 18 6 years ago. Or 8 years ago. It's hard to even keep track of time. 8 years ago, hard to believe. But in terms of long-term housing and answering the question of who he's going to live with, who's going to give him, loving support and care for the rest of his life when we're no longer around, that's an area that I hope to see more people get involved in, more conversations about, because it has to be addressed one way or the other, sooner or later. So I hope to see some of that, and I expect that we will.
Barry, thank you so much for for speaking on all these different topics and your role. I know for a fact that housing is an ongoing discussion. We've seen so many successful attempts and sometimes unsuccessful ones, and I've seen really great services for trustees and legal guardianship, and I've met with a lot of families that don't know how to navigate any of this, and they get good information and sometimes they get not so great information. I really like that you also pointed out that you've seen and come across really great networking communities, and that some of the best information has really come from other parents, right? Other people within your role, and they've been able to be open and share their experiences and knowledge. And that's really wonderful. Thank you so much for meeting with me today and for sharing, your experiences, your role, and what you look for in the future. Is there anything you'd like to add in conclusion today?
Thanks for having me on the show, and it was good talking to you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Barry. And to my listeners, be sure to look out for our next episode. Thank you.